In this video, I will show you how to draw a perfect sine and a cosine function in a graphing calculator. These two are sine or cosine function. We have two forms. One form is in degree. The other form is in radian. For the degree, the period equals 360 degree over b. For radian, the period equals 2 pi over b. Normally, we will set up the window like this. X minimum will be negative p. X maximum is a positive p. For the x scale will be p over 4. For number 1, f of x equals negative 30 sine 4 times x minus 5 plus 65. This is in degree. Therefore, we will figure out this p equals 360 degree over 4. That is 90 degree. So for the x minimum, we will set up negative 90. Maximum is 90. Then the scale, we will set up 90 divided by 4. For the y minimum and y maximum, depends on these two numbers. So we do the 65 plus 30, that is 95. For the minimum, I will put the negative 95. Then minus a number. Minus 5, minus 10, or minus 15, it's really up to you. Let me minus 10 here. Then maximum, I will do 95 plus 10. For scale, 95 plus 10 divided by 10, it will be 10.5. Let's make a scale, it's 10. Then I will put into graphing calculator. Let's go to graphing calculator. First of all, clear the memory. Second, plus 712. Then go to mode. You need to change this into degree. Then quit. Go to y equals. So we will put negative 30 sine. 4 times x minus 5. Then plus 65. Then we will go to this window. X minimum, we will change into negative 90. That's the period. Maximum will be 90. Then the scale will be 90 divided by 4. For y minimum, we will put negative 95 or minus 10 or minus 5. It's really up to you. For maximum, we will put 95 or plus 10. Then the scale, I will put the 10. Then go to graph. If you want to get rid of this part, you can go back, change your window. For y minimum, you will change into negative 10. You will get a better graph. If my sine or cosine function is in radian, then the period equals 2 pi over b, which means 2 pi over 4. That is pi over 2. So for x minimum, you will put the negative pi over 2. Maximum will be pi over 2. Scale will be pi over 2, then divided by 4. That is pi over 8. For the minimum, it will be same as this one. So 65 plus 30, we can do negative 95 minus 10. For maximum, we will do 95 plus 10. The scale, let's put the 10. Let's go to graphing calculator now. We will clear the memory, so second plus 712. This time the mode is in radian. Here we will go to y equals, put in negative 30. This time it's a cosine. 4 times x minus pi divided by 5. Then plus 65. Then go to window. For x minimum, we will put negative pi divided by 2. For x maximum, you will put pi divided by 2. And a scale, you will put pi divided by 8. For the minimum, you will do negative 95 minus 10. And a maximum, you can put 95 plus 10. Or for the V scale, normally it's 1, 10, 20, 30, and so on. That's the reason I will put the 10 here. Then we draw the graph. If you want to make the graph more clear, you can get rid of this V minimum part. So we go to window, go to V minimum. We will change into negative 10. Then go to graph. You will get a better graph.